Hello everybody, Jay Everett Vintage Collector here with another episode of my Battle of the Bulge series. For those of you that have never watched this before, what I do is I collect players that are World War II veterans, but not just World War II veterans, veterans of Battle of the Bulge, which was the longest and deadliest battle of World War II. So today is my episode number 6, and today we will be showcasing Hoyt Wilhelm. So I'm going to put up a couple of cards real quick. This is his 1960. Now I'm putting up two 1960s because I do have one that's the white back and one that is the gray back. I have both versions of that. And then this is also a 1960, and that is with him and Roy face. Really nice card. And then the last one, which I really like, is this 63. So that is Hoyt Wilhelm. James Hoyt Wilhelm was born in Huntersville, North Carolina, a farming town just north of Charlotte. Wilhelm was asked thousands of times how he learned to throw a knuckleball, and usually claimed that he taught himself in high school after seeing a picture of Dutch Leonard gripping a baseball. Emil Dutch Leonard was then pitching for the Washington Senators, who were the closest major league team to North Carolina. Wilhelm began experimenting with the pitch and soon could throw it pretty well. Before Wilhelm, the knuckleball was an old pitcher's pitch, something a veteran might turn to at the end of his career to eke out another year or two. A pitcher who threw it would do so along with his usual assortment of pitches. Wilhelm broke both molds. He threw it as a teenager, and he threw it nearly every single pitch. Most young kids gave up on the knuckleball quickly because the pitch cannot be thrown to a location, which is how a pitcher is taught to throw. Wilhelm soon discovered that he could just aim the ball right down the middle of the plate, knowing full well that it would end up somewhere else, but maximizing his chances of keeping it in the strike zone. After high school, Wilhelm signed a contract to play 12 miles from home in Mooresville, a team in the Class D North Carolina State League. In 1942, he managed a 10-3 record for Mooresville before being drafted into the Army. He spent 3 years in the service, seeing a lot of combat in Europe, and receiving the Purple Heart for wounds he received at the Battle of the Bulge, which included being struck by shrapnel in his hand and his back from a German artillery blast. The piece of shrapnel in his back remained lodged in his back for the rest of his life. We don't know a lot about his war experience because, as with everything else, Wilhelm never made a big deal of it. Returning stateside after the war, he pitched 2 more seasons at Mooresville, compiling records of 21-8 and 20-7. Although these were fine years, he was still a 25-year-old pitching in the lowest level of the minor leagues. The New York Giants finally drafted him after the 1947 season, and he spent the next 2 seasons at Jacksonville in the Sally League and Knoxville in the Tri-State League. After winning 17 games for Jacksonville in 1949, he was finally promoted to Minneapolis of the American Association, the highest rung in the Giants minor league chain. Over the next 2 years, Wilhelm finished 15-11 and 11-14, mainly as a starter. He spent the winters of 1950-51 and 1951-52 playing winter ball in Cuba. In July 1951, still a minor leaguer, he turned 29 years old, although everyone at the time thought he was only 28. Wilhelm went to his first big league training camp in 1952 and impressed his manager, Leo DeRocher, enough to make the roster. The Giants were the defending league champions and featured a strong starting rotation, so DeRocher sent his new knuckleballer to the bullpen, reasoning, the knuckler can fool him for 4 or 5 innings, even if Wilhelm doesn't have the hard stuff to go 9. In his first season, Wilhelm pitched 71 games, a rookie record at the time, and 159 innings, all in relief. He finished 15-3 with 11 saves and won the league's ERA title with a 2.43 ERA. The first and only time a full-time relief pitcher has done so. In Wilhelm's first major league at-bat against the Braves' Dick Hoover at the Polo Grounds, he hit a home run, the only one he has ever hit, and he finished 4th in the league's MVP voting that year. His fabulous knuckleball began to attract attention for how difficult it was to catch. After selecting Wilhelm to the 1953 All-Star team, National League manager Charlie Dressen expressed concern whether Roy Campanella would be able to catch him, and Hoyt did not pitch. Wilhelm had a great 1954 season, going 12-4 with a 2.10 ERA in 111 innings, and played a key role in the Giants' pennant. In the World Series, Hoyt pitched 2 1/3 innings over 2 games, allowing a single hit and no runs during the Giants' sweep of the Indians. Over the next 2 years, In 1955 and 1956, Wilhelm's ERA rose to 3.93 and 3.83 amid concern that he had been overused in his first few years. For his part, Wilhelm believed that his struggles were related to pitching less frequently. In February 1957, the Giants traded Wilhelm to the Cardinals in order to reacquire first baseman Whitey Lockman. Hoyt wasn't particularly effective in 1957, but the reason he was let go in September was that the team's catchers were having difficulties catching Wilhelm's knuckleball. The Indians picked Wilhelm up and kept him most of the next season, where he posted a 2.49 ERA in 90 innings before they waived him in August of 1948. Wilhelm was still pitching effectively, but now in his mid-30s, he seemed to be nearing the end of his career. Catching his knuckleball was a continual problem. In Wilhelm's first 16 seasons, from 52 to 67, his team led its league in passed balls every year but one, which was 1953. The Orioles claimed him on waivers in August 1958. Orioles manager Paul Richards thought Wilhelm might make a good starter, reasoning, "I'd always wondered why he'd been used in relief, coming in with men on base where one passed ball could hurt him. I thought that perhaps if Hoyt started, the runners wouldn't get on base to begin with." In September, Wilhelm started 4 times, and in the last start tossed a 1-0 no-hitter against the Yankees. In 1959, Wilhelm started the season 9-0 with an ERA under 1, prompting the former manager Leo DeRocher to express some regrets. "If I ever had any idea he could go the distance like that, I'd have used him as a starter when I had him on the Giants." Wilhelm finished that season 15-11 with a 2.19 ERA, good enough for his second ERA crown. Richards still occasionally went to his start in the middle of the game. The Orioles of this era had a promising collection of young starters. In 1960, when Wilhelm struggled a bit early, he was moved back to the bullpen. The Orioles' reasoning going with the young guns appears sensible. Wilhelm successfully returned to full-time relieving and was named to the All-Star team in each of the next 2 seasons for the Orioles. During the 1962 offseason, the Orioles traded the 40-year-old Wilhelm to the White Sox in a 6-player swap in which the Orioles landed shortstop Luis Aparicio. In 1963, Major League Baseball deployed a new strike zone which extended from the bottom of the knees to the top of the shoulders. During the next 6 years, run scoring in both leagues dropped to levels not seen since 1919. A larger strike zone helps all pitchers, but especially those like Wilhelm that have little idea where the ball is going. Over the next 6 years while with the White Sox, Wilhelm put together one of the best sustained stretches of release pitching ever. In 1963, his ERA soared to 2.64 in over 136 innings. He only had 3 starts in those appearances. Thereafter, his ERA decreased for 4 consecutive years, going 1.99, 1.81, 1.66, and 1.33, before finally inching up to 1.73 in 1968. Still not bad for a pitcher turning 46. His ERA in the 1960s was 2.18. Ted Williams, who knew a thing or two about pitchers, once stated categorically, "Don't let anybody tell you they saw a better knuckleball than Wilhelm's." In 1968, as Wilhelm approached Cy Young's record of 906 games pitched, Hoyt broke the record against the Athletics in relief on July 24th. Even then, Hoyt refused to consider his accomplishments special. The White Sox left Wilhelm unprotected in the 1968 expansion draft, most likely reasoning that no one would want a 45-year-old knuckleballing reliever. However, the Kansas City Royals drafted Hoyt and traded him to the Angels for outfielder Ed Kirkpatrick and catcher Dennis Papke. Despite the newly reduced strike zone, Wilhelm had another excellent season in Anaheim, throwing 65 innings with a 2.47 ERA. In September 1969, Wilhelm was traded for farmhand Mickey Rivers to the Atlanta Braves, who were trying to win the NL West and needed help in the bullpen. He provided it brilliantly with 2 wins, 4 saves, and a 0.73 ERA in 8 games. He arrived too late to be eligible for the NL playoffs, which the Braves lost in 3 straight to the Miracle Mets. Wilhelm continued his excellent pitching for the Braves in 1970, going 6-4 with a 3.10 ERA, and was selected to another All-Star game. On May 10th, Wilhelm pitched in his 1,000th game against the Cardinals, which received a lot of attention. With the Braves out of the race this time around, they sold Hoyt to the Chicago Cubs with only 10 days left in the season, and then he was traded back to the Braves after the season. In 1971, the Braves gave Wilhelm just 2 1/3 innings of work in April before releasing him. Hoyt hooked on with Tommy Lasorda's Spokane Indians of the Pacific Coast League, hoping for a recall to the Dodgers. After 8 games, including 6 starts, which were his first since 1963, Hoyt went to Los Angeles in the midst of the 1971 pennant race. The next season, he threw just 25 innings for the Dodgers before drawing his release on July 21st, just days before his 50th birthday. And again, at the time, teams only thought that he was 49. In 1985, Wilhelm became the first relief pitcher to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It took him 8 tries to be voted in. Overall, he pitched 384 lifetime innings as a starter with an ERA of 2.36. He finished his career with a record of 143 and 122 and 227 saves, which was the most ever until the 1980s. Thank you for your service, Sergeant Hoyt Wilhelm.